Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, depending on when and where you're joining us from today. It is a beautiful day outside. The power is out in Las Vegas, and that's okay. We're okay with that. We have such exciting conversations to happen today. I'm so excited to have you here with me, my friends, as we have this conversation to talk about something that affects every customer interaction. Today, we are going to talk about this. And before any word is spoken, there's something that happens. And our discussion today is with the founder of Greenbolt Printing. She helps automotive shops all over the country turn their gear into a leadership tool, from bold branding to team building through apparel. She understands how a look can drive culture, confidence, and performance. She's just not about putting logos on shirts, it's about uniting teams through identity. Give a big round of applause as we help to welcome the incredible Leah Grubb. Leah, I'm so excited that you are here with us today to talk about your business and what it is you do to affect the shop's company culture and everything that goes with it.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking really forward to today.
Yes, this is going to be a great conversation that we're going to have to talk. I know you've got a lot put together with a PowerPoint, a presentation. So, with that, I'm going to turn it to you. As questions come up, just be understanding that we're going to interrupt and ask some
Yeah.
questions because marketing is so much fun. That this interaction happens before a website. I mean, it's not a website. This is our apparel. This is what we're doing that we wear as a uniform to be part of the team. Every team has a uniform and we're now part of it. So Leah, we turn it to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jimmy. Hello, everyone. And thank you again for joining me on this Wednesday afternoon on a holiday week, nonetheless. I want to start kind of with the concept and how we frame things before we dive in here, right? Because up until today, what you wear to work, right, is just kind of that, what you wear to work. So instead, I want to talk about how it can be so much more than just a uniform and instead your shop's visual identity. I'm going to be using that word a lot. And I'm a bit of a fast talker too here. So because these t-shirts and polos are something that you wear to work every single day, they can be the very vehicle that creates a feel-good, ready-to-perform environment that achieves excellence. But before we dive in, I do want to tell a little bit of my story here. Because right before I founded Greenbolt, I was working as a marketing director for two local automotive shops. One of them was C&J Automotive, and there I am right there on the end. And at the time, we had two shops. One was our HQ that was founded in 1988, and the other one was a second shop about 20 minutes down the road that was established very recently, I guess 2015, so 10 years ago, comparatively to 1988. Then within about a span of a year and a half, we expanded to not just the third location, not just the fourth location, but 5 locations in about a year and a half in total, with the next closest one being 40 minutes from our HQ, one being in a completely different state, New Jersey. Now you could say that we were learning how to build a rocket ship on the way up or a parachute on the way down, depending on your outlook for that day. Because if that wasn't enough, we decided to rebrand and revamp all of these locations. And this was all at the time of that post-COVID supply chain issue. Remember this, the toilet paper shortages of that time. So it was a bit of a headache to say the least. And doing it at this scale and in this time frame exposed a lot of flaws in the screen printing and embroidery industry that I thought could be improved upon. So much so that when my employers decided that we decided that we could do something better with this. So Jack, who is right there in the center, and then my other employer at the time who owned a collision shop, bootstrapped the idea and Greenbolt was born. And I'm saying all of this because I'm sharing a few other stories from my time in this career, because Greenbolt truly was born out of necessity, and not just general necessity, right? Actual specific necessities from growing auto repair shops. And that started with the rebranding process. We had to dive deeper into our brand and our visual identity. And where's that not if the most prevalent than in the clothing that we're wearing every single day? But you don't need to go through a rebrand of your apparel to do all this. Actually, the main thing I want you to do is to reframe your idea of what uniforms are as you know them, right? Uniforms are for identification, for functionality. They help people identify who works where, like going up to someone in a red shirt at Target and hoping they work there because a lot of people are wearing red t-shirts. So, or functionally, they're just more durable for the wear and tear of the day or the task at hand, or protective like high visibility gear. But what if we took that one step further and recognized uniforms for their higher purpose that they can serve as a consistent or constant visual identity? And that's going to be our tongue twister of the day. Because if you move past uniforms just being used for purely identification purposes or purely functional needs, a uniform can reinforce a shared identity, build a sense of pride, boost morale, and set expectations, ideally positive ones, both internally and externally with your customers. Because the reality is, uniforms are one of the most visible, consistent expressions of your brand and your culture. Your team wears them every day, your customers see them first, and that's powerful. So when you start thinking of uniforms as a constant visual identity and not just the thing you're wearing to work every single day, you unlock their real value as a tool to shape how people feel about your shop and how they feel inside it. So another story time again, right, with C&J. This new concept, this new way of thinking came into play during that rebrand because we especially had to think about where this brand was going to be seen. Would it look good on a mailer, on social media, on a street sign, and of course on people and on our buildings. So the current logo already had to go through some refinement to look good for social media, right? There's our social media profile photo. And then it had to go through more refinement to be cost effective and in some cases even possible, as in just actually able to be embroidered and put on physical products. So then it became this. And then if you look at these suites of logos, it's a classic auto repair shop logo. You have the wings, and some might say it's dated, especially if we use the full logo. And some may say it's cluttered with those cars or things like that. But it's simple, clean, to the point. But we were a local family owned, rooted in history or vintage, depending on when you were born, for 1988, auto repair shop with a friendly and personal service that we wanted to be known for, that our customers knew us for, but we wanted anyone for their first impression to also know us for, whether we were there to talk with them about our history or not. And thus, our new brand suite was developed, and our identity was finally realized, not just in the logo, but in now some red and blue colors that fed into this new visual identity that created a sense of pride within our team. And everyone could agree this was our shop and this is our look, so much more so than the black and white chrome and what it was beforehand. And just look at the
Okay, I
uniform.
have a question.
Yeah.
That is a significant rebrand to go from the black and white to adding
Yes.
color to being the red and blue. What did that do to the team, the performance, the culture, the feel of the shop? What happened internally when you did this?
Yes. So when we first revealed this new logo, I mean, the reactions were just like, "That's sick!" Like it's a logo you could put on a crew neck or a t-shirt, and it looks like maybe a vintage, I don't know, like alcohol brand or something else that you would have dug up out of your dad's old box of stuff in the attic, and now it's like worth a lot more money, right? There was so much more character to it, where people now are just like, "No, putting on the t-shirt for today." It's become a brand more so that not just only for the uniform and what they wear to work every day, but they're getting casual t-shirts and casual hoodies that they want to wear out and about because it just looks cool. It looks vintage. It's providing them a certain identity out and about, even that's related to their work. So it's advertising on our end, but it's also just something they feel good about wearing. There's pride in what they're wearing now. It's more fun,
Yeah,
and we were a really fun shop.
it changes how they show up. It changes how their mindset is. It changes how they show up for work every day.
Mhm.
Even to the technicians. So technicians in the back of the shop, they're not necessarily always seen. Usually, it's the front counter, the front desk, where you've got the polos and
Yeah.
whatnot. But then you've
And
got
you even
t-shirts.
look at that kind of comparison in our team photo from before with the old brand, and we're all in black and white, and it's just a kind of typical thing, to now how we put this brand together, red and blue, and we actually drifted away from the off from white to like an off-white. So again, vintagey, with time, be giving that timelessness and, nodding back to our founding in 1988. And now we're wearing all colors. We're wearing dark navy, we're wearing gray, we're wearing some reds, and we can still and have fun with it, right?
Okay, so John's got a question, and I want to ask his question. Then I've got another question behind his. How important do you think it is that technicians who are not customer facing to have their uniforms as well? Are you thinking logos, matching, or full uniforms?
Yeah. So if they're not fully customer facing, we can do less branding on it per se, right? So you for someone customer facing, you might want to have on the polo a left chest or even something on the back too for when they're turning around.
Yeah.
But if they're always in the back and they're not really engaging with customers, you could maybe just do one placement on the t-shirt, one to still functionally identify that this person works here, that this person working on your car isn't someone random off the street. They work here. So you still want that identification aspect because that's going to build accountability and just build some communication between the customer and the technician, that you don't have to say like, oh, don't worry about that guy over there. He does work here, we swear. But you can kind of pull it back and get some cost-effective options there. But you also have to, again, consider what if those one-off times when the customer does like want to talk to the technician too, right? That they're still looking like you want them to represent the shop and how you want that to look, but doesn't have to be full out matching with the service advisors and service managers in that way.
Okay, so and back to your picture with the rebranding, you went from all black to a rainbow of colors.
Mm-hmm.
What was the mindset, or what's the algorithm? What's the idea of who gets to wear black, who gets to wear gray, who gets to wear blue, who gets to wear the off-white? What's the mindset there for the shop?
Yeah. So for that mindset, we went with that functionality too. So we're still blending in the same ideas of a uniform with functionality and identification, but now we're just adding more identity and more values and more emotion into it. So the technicians still are primarily wearing black,
Yeah.
because it's a dirty job, right? Like we're not having them going back in those light gray polos. We'd probably never see them looking like that color ever again. So pure utility, the technicians are all in black, but then we also have a line of a lot of casual t-shirts that they can wear out and about and are like not allowed in the shop because they're nice, like ivory colored and things like that. Whereas
Oh,
the
nice.
service in the front, it's a little bit of a less dirty job. Maybe you're in the back just every now and then, but they're not in it every single day. So they're able to wear those light gray polos, those red polos, the navy polos, and things like that.
Cool, cool, cool. I love that. I love that. There was a shop I went into. Eric. Eric has a screaming mullet from straight out of the 70s and 80s, and in his shop, his technicians had the black uniforms, but their accent colored specified master tech, shop foreman,
Nice.
B tech, C tech, general service. So you could look out into a big shop very quickly and easily to identify. Oh, yellow, that's the shop foreman, so he's over there. Red is the ATEX, and you could see where they are, and
Mhm.
blue, and then green and gray. It was really cool how the shop used the uniform for identification, which also became a promotional
Yeah.
product as a technician studied, trained, passed tests, and advanced themselves. They could get a new uniform.
Yeah, exactly. There's that certain pride that people can have in the shirt that they're wearing every day. And that's what we can imbue when we rethink, right, uniforms from I got to put this on every single day just to go to work into, right, that constant visual identity.
I love
Um,
it.
and that's the one thing that we really had to do with that rebrand is like, okay, it's not just what we're wearing to work. Like, what value can we put into it that we can go and say, this isn't just a t-shirt, this isn't just your polo. When we're all wearing these together, we're not just this group of individuals, this person off the street we pulled in to do your oil change. We're
Right.
one team representing one mission, and we look like a team, and we act like a team, and we can win like a team. So it's a team building, morale building thing when we're looking at each other and like we're all in this together. You in that polo and me in that t-shirt.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay, so you've been in this game for a minute. What's one of the biggest mistakes you see shops make when they're choosing gear for their teams?
Not involving their team members in the decision as a manager or an owner. And yes, maybe you were working in the shop and you've moved into management and ownership and you like a certain t-shirt. So you get everyone that t-shirt. But t-shirts, hats, hoodies are the most personal thing I think we can choose, especially if you're going to have them wearing it every single day. So if you pick something even as simple as like you love 100% cotton, and how it feels, and then you have someone who comes in and specifically I'm thinking of this shop in Florida. It's hot.
Yeah.
And they need something that really wicks the moisture away. But cotton, while it does that, then you're just kind of sitting in your sweat all day.
Oh yeah,
So
you got to peel that shirt off.
you got to peel that off. So when you're, maybe in the comfy, cozy office for a little bit, it's fine. But when you talk with the technicians and they're just literally drenched in that shirt and they're not comfortable working, and that's one of the main, they're just thinking that in the back of their head the entire time they're doing a repair or whatever they're working on or interacting with their team members. It just is kind of that little, rock in the shoe that is going to start eating away at something. So involving your team members in what you're choosing, whether that is a cotton t-shirt or is it a blend t-shirt or is it a fully polyester t-shirt, which is great for really, really sunny locations.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, what about, are you going to talk about colors? Maybe I'll
Yes.
hold my color question here for a minute. Okay.
Yeah. So how can we, right, create kind of this identity,
Yeah.
and create that environment? And one of the main key considerations that managers can consider, is of course function. And we talked about this, right? The uniform should support the work. You're not going to get a technician in a white t-shirt unless you want to give them a white t-shirt every single day. That's up to you. But it needs to hold up to the grease and the wear. It needs to be comfortable in the heat, especially if you don't have AC in your shop. And it can offer utility with something as simple as pockets, which that was a whole heated thing with another shop on whether or not to have pockets on their shirt. And, everyone had a say in that. The next thing, of course, would be fit. How well it fits is one thing. The size is one thing, because that poor fit, right? Whether it's super sweaty and it doesn't function for them, or it's just too big or too and baggy, poor fit can make someone feel uncomfortable and overlooked as well within your culture. And I don't think anyone wants to develop a culture where you're just like, here's that for you, and I don't really care about your thoughts or considerations or how you feel in it. When a uniform fits well, it can make people focus better and feel more confident. So, example, like what happens when you hire someone who's 7XL tall, right? True story. Someone hired a 7XLT technician, or more likely, what happens with a lot of shop owners is you hire your first woman service advisor or woman
Yeah.
technician, right?
Yeah.
And what are you going to do? Go back to your office, rummage through your bag of all the old uniforms you bought from all the previous orders, and you got something close, but don't, tell the 7XL tall guy, like, maybe don't bend over too much or reach up too high, because now your shirt's just going to ride up. Or the woman, just here's a
It
men's.
doesn't fit right.
It doesn't fit right. And it just eats away at your self-consciousness. Like if you've ever put on a great jacket or your best fitting shirt and to go to your job interview or whatever it is, it makes you feel so much better and it provides that confidence. And with that confidence, you can then go in turn give a better experience to your customers and provide better service. So a lot of times our shop owners come to us to outfit these new, as in unique new hires, because they don't have this uniform on the back stock in the back office somewhere. And plus they want to be able to get some new and unique styles just for them, whether it is big and tall or whether it is women's styles, or whether their family, their team members are having new family members, and we can do little baby onesies for them. It's super cute. So
Oh, that's rad.
it
That's
is
awesome.
always there. The last thing to consider is design, and we're going to dig really deep into design today. But the main takeaway here is just to be thoughtful about it, right? It's not just how your uniform and how your apparel looks, it's what it says, right? Your design can reflect your shop's values and culture, whether it's a rugged, blue collar shop, or whether it's precise and clean and family oriented. The right uniform isn't about just something your team wears, it's what they represent. And that's what that new concept of a visual identity, that's what I want you to keep in your back pocket kind of throughout all of today, because I will still be using the term uniform moving forward, because constant visual identity is a tongue twister. I think I have maybe maximum of 10 tries saying before it starts getting really, really muddled here. But bottom line, right? Your uniform is your constant visual identity. It's your daily opportunity to show your team who they are and to show your customers who you are. And you get this right, it becomes a quiet but really, really powerful way to reinforce pride in your brand and in what you do, unity within your team, and boost performance within the team, and therefore boost customer satisfaction. So these three things are main things for managers to consider, but don't make any decisions, right? Like what we talked about, before involving your team. There's plenty of research on how involving your team is that employee involvement in uniform decisions makes a huge difference. When you involve them, even if it's just getting feedback on letting them vote between a few options, it gives them a sense of ownership. It shows them that you value their comfort, their perspective, and how they represent the shop. And that has ripple effects too, because people who feel heard are more likely to take pride in what they wear. They wear it consistently, they show up more confidently. And one of the studies I've looked into has even shown that uniform satisfaction, which is influenced by how much involvement they have in picking their uniform, is directly related to job satisfaction. And that's a powerful connection right there. But on the flip side, if someone has no say in the uniform, they can start to feel like what they're wearing is a symbol of hierarchy, of disconnect, something that's done to them instead of for them. So even if you're not redesigning from scratch, which most of you will not be, small moments of input, so surveys, wear tests, quick feedback, can go a long way in helping your team feel included, respected, and more connected to your shop's identity, which I think is something all shop owners kind of want, because at the end of the day, there's only one shop owner, right? Or whatever team of shop owners you have. But how can you get that buy-in from everyone that you bring in here, other than just, paying them for the job well done, right? And so one of the things we did at C&J during that rebrand was to have a team discussion and to actually use a questionnaire to get involvement in a formal way, because people were, we use the team meetings. We have a team meeting every Wednesday during lunch, because they already eat lunch together anyway. So now we just all join in there and kind of take over that lunch. So we talked about these things, but then we also followed up with a questionnaire, and this is a lot of questions in one slide, but all of these questions we followed up with, and people rated them on a 1 to 5 scale. So it was a pretty quick 1 to 5 kind of run through thing. But this way, we could accommodate some of our team members who weren't as opinionated in a team setting. We know they were just better at written communication, or when we could talk to them alone on the side instead of in the group as a team. And that's fine. And this questionnaire also had that open-ended box for them to put an input there. But the key thing with this, in doing this discussion and doing this questionnaire, was that the next team meeting, we followed up again with the same discussion of what we talked about, what like us as management heard from the team, and then also a little bit of the results from the questionnaire, because we wanted, again, the team to feel like, hey, we heard you the first time, we've reviewed what you did and the input that you just given to the company, and then here's like what our next steps are. Here's what we're kind of going to do now for the uniforms and things like that, because we heard you. Like, it's not just they shouted out into the ether and then where's the follow-up? Where's the follow-through on that? And we wanted to, clearly connect those dots from this conversation, this questionnaire, this result for you, from you. So
wow, that's powerful.
Yeah. And then, so with that feedback in mind, there's a lot of key fundamental considerations. Now we can get to talk about the fun part. Sorry. And how we can actually build this identity, this brand, this uniform. And I do want to shout out one of the quick studies I actually went through for this webinar and when we were building this uniform back in my C&J days, if anyone else wants to read through it. It really, it's mainly about the hospitality industry and how the effective employee uniforms affect employee satisfaction for hotels and restaurants. But if you do think about it a lot, auto repair shops are very, very much like in the hospitality business, because every other auto repair shop could do an oil change. How well they do it, is all up for debate. But it's, at the end of the day, it's that customer experience, the customer satisfaction, how they feel going into your shop and how they feel leaving it, that is the differentiator between you and that shop down the road. So especially, first impressions, setting the tone when they walk into that shop. When you think about when you walk into this fabulous hotel lobby versus a Motel 6 lobby or something like that, and especially the team culture and equaling the customer experience. And that specifically your team culture has a huge impact on that customer experience, and uniforms can really play into that and thus affect the satisfaction of your customers. And some of the key recommendations from this were about designing the unified look, using color intentionally, offering gear as rewards, and involving your team, which we already discussed. So we're going to talk mainly about 1, 2, and 3 on designing a unified look. So the first thing with designing that, we kind of define what is the uniform, right? Like what is it? Is it the same shirt we're wearing every single day or just what we wear to work? And there's a lot of variable ideas we have around that. So on one end, right, you have uniformed. It is the same shirt every single day. Same color too. Everyone's wearing the same color. Everyone's wearing the same shirt. It's consistent. It's highly consistent. In the middle ground, which is where I think most of our shops are at and where most shops do sit, is unified, but with a bit of controlled variety, right? We all wear polos, but we have a choice between red, blue, and gray. So we have a few color options there. On the other end is what I like to call branded individuality. So you can have a lot of product options. Maybe it's a polo or a button up, and a lot more different colors, maybe up to like 5 or 6 different colors, and all of those that follow your brand palette, but there's a lot of variability there. And each one has its pros and cons. You can kind of see on one end, you decrease inconsistency from being highly uniformed to having more individual expression. But with increased individual expression, oops, my keys were there, you can increase team pride and personal comfort because you have now more input that the team member can put into what they're wearing every single day, increasing your personal comfort and therefore increasing their pride. And like, I chose this. Sure, it's a very narrow down selection of what they could choose from, but it wasn't you're wearing this every single day, this color, that's what it is. It's I have a choice. I really like this color and I look great in this color, and they can feel good about that. So let's look at some visual examples, right? So Wren House does a uniformed high consistency look, right? It's the same shirt, same color every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And for those of you who follow Jamie's Garage on YouTube, this is one of his 3 shops. Everyone wears polos, and the only choice they get is between pocket or no pocket. And then when Jamie hires someone new, he can simply go to his store, purchase however many polos he needs. But in the case of a new hire, if they need just 6, we made it super easy. So even the new hire or the manager can go in and do it without having to remember how much they need with these new hire bundles here. So, but they are even across his brands. So his 3 shops are Wren House, Elite Motorworks, and Elite Auto and Tire. 3 different logos, but all of them all wear all black, all polos, even the technicians, which I found very unique. And then the middle ground, I think where most people are at is something like what we do at C&J, where everyone wears polos. I'm specifically talking a lot about service because they are the more customer facing team members, and they're the ones that this impact of the feeling of the uniforms are going to have the most impact on with the customers. So with C&J, they could pick between 3 colors, again, the gray, navy, or red. And specifically for them, we do bundles of 6 because you never know when someone's doing laundry. You might need to run over into Monday with that 6 polo, or something happens and you really need an extra polo during that midweek. And then I wouldn't recommend usually with this middle ground more than 5 colors. It's just a lot to pick from. 3 is a pretty good safe number there. So with C&J, we moved away from that black, right? And we moved on to just navy, gray, and red. And we'll talk about why, because of the feelings those colors evoke later. But for ordering, right, again, the shop manager could go into the store and, of course, buy 2 of each color. But that's also dependent on the shop manager knowing what is exactly going into every new hire bundle when they hire someone new. And it's too many clicks for my liking. So we again made that bundle, and oh, look, they also need quarter zips as well. So we include those with all of our new service as well for that outerwear layering, especially since we're located outside of Philadelphia. Weather is, I mean, it felt like winter 2 weeks ago, and now it's like the heat of summer here. So we can never guess that. And then on the final end of that spectrum is branded individuality. flexible consistency, where there's a lot of product options and a lot of colors to choose from within that brand color palette. So Brown's Automotive is a 4-shop MSO based out in New Mexico. And their main rule is that anyone in the front had to wear something with a collar shirt. That was their only and main rule. They didn't really care what color or what style it was. So there's both button-ups and polos. And what color it was up to their personal preference. A person could buy the all light gray or all dark gray, or that lime green or that teal blue. But 2 colors were reserved just for management. So there's that differentiation again. So only black and only white was allowed to be worn by management, or specifically the owners in that case, were able to wear that color. So when they go into a shop, anyone, which it's odd if they've never met them, but it's very easily identifiable to find them there. Some additional considerations, right? You kind of see either shop leans towards button-ups or polos. And that's, again, mainly a preference on what you want your identity to look like, because button-ups could tend to give off a more formal, traditional, precise vibe. We take our work seriously. We've been doing this for a while, and it could be a great fit for any shop that wants to project that experience, the technical skill, or even a higher end service. It's just a little more formal feeling. On the other hand, polos offer a more casual, modern, approachable look. They could say that we're friendly, easy to talk to, we're here to help, approachable feel. And it's great for shops that want to focus on, customer connection, quick service, community feel, things like that. And neither, again, is better or worse. It's about what fits your shop's identity. Are you going to go for buttoned up and detail driven, or more laid back and people first? And again, none of those descriptors either are mutually exclusive. You could be people first in a button up, right? So also don't forget to take into consideration some regional differences and preferences. I'm from outside of Philadelphia. Generally, the Northeast is considered pretty preppy, especially the more north and the more east you go. So polos could be considered more casual and modern, depending on where you are. But in a more laid back area, like in my head, I think California is pretty laid back, or Hawaii even, right? Polos could be viewed as formal, and you should be wearing more just like a t-shirt, and that could be professional enough. So always take those into consideration. The key, again, is to be intentional. Don't just pick what's the cheapest or what you've always done. Choose a style that tells the right story to your team and to your customers every time they walk into that door. You also have branded versus unbranded attire. And I'm not talking about just like the items you put your brand on, like versus not put your brand on, like pants, which you may think could be undecorated or should never be decorated. But we actually do have a handful of clients that put their logo onto their shop pants, like specifically their technician's shop pants, on the upper thigh and on the back pocket. Which is just a fun little thought of adding another touch of branding and another touch point there. But what I more so mean by branded versus unbranded attire is using stuff like Nike or Carhartt or even the North Face, because branded apparel can carry a different weight. It can feel more premium, especially depending on the brand you're picking. And it can tell both your team and your customers, we've put some thought and some additional money into what we're wearing every single day. And especially for employees, it can boost confidence even further, right? When wearing something from a trusted retail brand like Carhartt, it can make the uniform feel less like a requirement and more like a benefit or like a perk of working at your shop versus whatever other basic t-shirt that's out there. And then for customers too, it sends a similar message about quality and standards, because you're almost co-branding your shop with how they've come to know and perceive Under Armour and Nike as a trusted retail brand as well. Another shop we work with, they're called Bimmer Rescue. They're located in Richmond, Virginia. It's like a 3-shop location, but the other ones are called something different, Auto Rescue. But Bimmer Rescue specifically noticed that they had high-end, high-spending customers coming in, and they always had their golf clubs in their cars. So they started co-branding their Bimmer Rescue logo with Travis Matthew golf logos to kind of elevate that experience and their customers' perceptions of them when they walk into that shop. John said that he missed the first half hour, and that will this be sent out in a recording? And I do believe it will be sent out in a recording as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm
No,
wrong.
you're totally right. Yeah, it is recorded, and we'll be sending out a copy of it. But I have a question for you. You talk about branded logoed apparel like Nike or Under Armour or Ping or whatever. Name your brand, Adidas. Um, what about shops that are on a budget? Where do they start?
Mhm.
Where do they start when it comes to branded gear? Because for many shops, this is a big expense for them, or it
Mhm.
is an expense for them, and they want to spend their money wisely. Versus there are some shops that kind of go hog wild, which I think is cool. But what about those
Mhm.
that are on a budget?
Yeah.
Where should they start?
So my personal, maybe controversial opinion is I think Nike is very overrated and
Yeah.
very overpriced. And I say that cautiously because I do know that there's some shops in the institute that use Nike polos. But and for consistency, yes, they continue to use them. But if you're looking at getting something branded to start, I say we use Adidas at C&J because it is one, great quality, and two, it's still a well-known brand that everyone can just look and see and immediately recognize that, and then they see C&J, right? But it's at a much better price point. Under Armour, I think, is coming down in price point, but it's not quite there yet as comparative to Adidas. And Nike, I just kind of think is overpriced for what you're getting. So Adidas, I would say, is a really great entry point. There are also a lot of other brands like Ogio, which is a little bit more of a golf brand, but I think they're trying to do some other industries now. And a few other and really any other brand too. There's a lot out there. There's on kind of the more traditional wear. You have Eddie Bauer for outerwear as well, versus the North Face, right? The North Face is going
Right.
to be expensive, and I'll be real about that. It's not cheap. But Eddie Bauer offers similar performance and functionality, which we're always looking for, but still offers that a little additional branding that you can put your logo next to.
Yeah. All right. And John's just asked a question. This is one that I've thought of quite a bit with different shops and what they're doing.
Mhm.
John's question here is, do you feel like having merchandise store and available for customers to buy branded logo stuff is a good idea? S- Spreading the logo and letting people see it more than just on your staff. Is that a good idea for smaller mid-grade shops, or is that a bad idea? What's your thoughts there, Leah?
So we have one shop that has a store that sells to their customers.
Right.
But the only way or the only reason it works is because the merch they're selling specifically in that store isn't their uniform stuff. It's graphic t-shirts that are just tiny, slightly branded with Eurotech, right? It's by them, but
Oh,
it's about the design. It's a really cool car design that looks like it was hand illustrated, really uh like a lot of lines and stuff like that. So it's a cool design by Autotech or Eurotech, right? Um, I think as shop owners, we can, our brand is our life, our shop is our life, our brand is our life. It's cool. And we're surrounded by a lot of people who are supporting what we do, right? You're with the Institute and your members there with friends and family. Like our work is our life. But when you try and go and then have a customer who's also spending however much money on repair go and also buy merch, it's not always going to work out. So when opening, if you want to open a merch store, right, you have to come at it from either two different directions. One, you want to make money from it, and that's when you would go the route of creating some really cool designs and actually building a retail brand. Which, if you want to go that route and essentially start another company, that's your prerogative. Or it's for customer gifting and brand exposure and rewarding customer loyalty, because you're going to get so much more value of giving a really loyal customer a t-shirt for free than having them buy it.
yeah, yeah. You've just spent $2,500 at the shop. Go ahead and pick something off the middle shelf.
Yeah.
Well, how much do I have to spend to get off the top shelf? Well, that's $10,000. You're
Yeah.
getting there. You're getting close, but this trip, middle shelf.
Mhm. Yeah. So we've had a few shops who still explore it, and we open a shop for them. It's very, very easy, and we do that. But
Yeah,
um, there's no traction. I mean, we have
yeah,
the numbers on our end. There's no traction there, unless you go the route of we are retail forward specific, or we are here just to the shop owner would actually just go on, order a t-shirt on their customer's behalf and have it shipped to their house, because you never know what size the customer is going to be. So they use that store to get that item shipped out specifically to them.
Nice. So John's asking here, are there different places that offer discounted pricing for businesses for those polos, et cetera? And I think this plays right into you, Leah, and your company.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what we would do. Because the only way you're going to get a quote like discounted price on that is to get it at wholesale, which you don't have the license for, but we do. So, right. You would work through, us, or again, like, any, custom apparel manufacturer, would be able to access those wholesale prices, put your logo on it, and then we specifically put all that stuff into an online store for you. So you can order one at a time or six at a time, or however many you need at a time, whether it's for you, a new hire, or a really loyal customer that just spent thousands of dollars at your shop and that they'll wear with pride out and about then. So,
Nice. So that's pretty dang cool that you work with these shops and you can order in lower quantities.
mhm,
Your equipment has the ability to do the lower quantities, which I think is tremendous,
mhm.
especially for that tech that shows up who's a 7XLT.
Yeah. 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 I mean, that's why we started Greenbolt as it was, because we were trying to, right, we're opening essentially 3 shops at a time, which was crazy, to begin with. But, you know, that you could think, oh, we're going to bring in all these new people, we're rebranding, we're going to be outfitting all these people at once. We do a big bulk order. But then a week goes by and someone doesn't want to move along with the transition and they quit. So now we got to hire. And then we realize, like, hey, we actually probably need to hire another person. So the bulk orders only go so far. And we still actually have my other, business partner, the one that owned the collision shop, had the same thinking. We were hiring a bunch of people. Let's just get a big bulk order in and buy a bunch of these extra sizes. And we bought like 2XL up to 4 or 5XL because we were hiring some big guys. And it's still in inventory. And that was when I was working for them 5 years ago.
Oh my
And
God.
we're still going through that. And anytime we hire them, because after that, of course, all we hired were small and medium high school guys to come in, and we had nothing that fit them. So we were really frustrated with, one, having to wait almost 6 months because of the COVID supply chain issues to get what we needed. And even now, the turnaround times for some screen printing shops are still a month,
Wow.
because they're that busy, especially for the low quantity orders. They don't prioritize them in screen printing shops. We're seeing on my end, we're seeing a split in our industry of shops like mine with the online stores that specialize in minimum or no minimum quantity things, really specializing in that. And then screen printing's moving farther and farther away to, like, unless you need 200 shirts, don't talk to me kind of thing. And
Yeah.
that's how they're feeling. Yeah.
Well, and so back in college, I did have a custom apparel company, and I sold T-shirts to the college and the football team and other organizations. And the greater the quantity, the bigger the discount that it would be
Yeah.
for the end user, and it just makes sense. It's
Mhm.
beautiful that you are able to offer such a great price at a low quantity for these shops, especially the shops that are bringing in a 7XLT,
Mhm.
which is it's just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. When I got that call, I was like, oh, I know 6XL. I
Yes,
know
yes.
7.
So
So,
I have a question for you, and oh, it kind of goes into John's question here as well.
okay. Yeah.
Do you have a setup fee for the logos, or is it basically you get the logo and there's no cost for the items that we pull to the shop? You guys set up. In the past, I've done that type of stuff, purchasing the shirts, hats, etc., and then have them embroidered after the fact. So my question for you is how much into John's question.
Mhm.
My question for you is how much advice or guidance or consulting do you do for a shop to say, hey, your logo really is not embroidery friendly or
Mhm.
it's not print friendly? Do you help them rebrand or do you help them modify their current
Mhm.
logo so that it looks better, or do they need to come to you with uh,
Print ready is
print
something
ready
I'll
art?
probably hear a lot
Yeah.
of other shops say, like, "We need print ready artwork." What does that mean? I'm not a printer, right? And so because of that, I've learned all of that because I had plenty of time on my hands to try and outfit all these new employees. But
Yeah.
you as an auto shop owner, unless you've like John, you said that you are ordering a lot of these, so you've probably seen it a bit before. But if you're brand new to it, what does that mean? So I like to say, like, we're pretty much full service in that, if you come to me and the logo is the logo that you have, but for embroidery, right? Maybe it's a very we call it dense in the industry, but it has a lot of elements to it, right? It has your name, maybe a picture, maybe something else on it, and all together that may create a lot of extra stitches, and that's a lot of extra costs. And even though we can do one pull at a time, we still price based off of that. And so we can we get that, and we actually automatically just kind of come back. It's like, hey, we can do this. It would cost this much though. Or here's like 3 options of how we could par down your logo so the integrity is still there. It still gets across like this is you and this is your logo, but these items we can remove them and it saves you a lot of money for that.
Yeah.
So for embroidery, same thing for printing too. On the design, on the placement, we can, if you just say like, here's my logo, I want to put it on shirts and I want to put it on hoodies and whatever it is, we can take that and run with it because you have plenty of other things on your plate to deal with. And that's the kind of experience I not grew up with, what I learned through my career at C&J, because Jack would just come in, off a whirlwind and be like, we need new t-shirts and we need softer ones. And I'm like, that's all I need. And now we're just going to go and create some designs. And that's what we do for a lot of our clients, because again, you have your logo. How is it best going to look on what color t-shirts, what color hoodies, polos, or whatever it is?
Yeah.
That's our, area of expertise. So we can do all that for you. And to specifically answer John's question on the setup fees for the logo, we don't do setup fees. We don't do hoop fees. We don't do really like any fees. Shipping is included on every single order too. So that's not a surprise thing.
Oh, wow.
My favorite tagline right now that we're using is, what you see is what you pay. The price you see of that item in your store, a $24.99 polo or whatever it is the price you're paying aside from tax. But right now
Oh,
there
nice.
really is no tax because we're based in PA and we don't have clothing tax. So that's really, tax only gets applied on like drinkware, I think, right now. So get it while we still don't qualify to pay sales tax.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
yeah.
But and Leah, you also supply more than just hats, hoodies, beanies, t-shirts, polos, button downs. You have a full line of
Hmm.
products that you can offer to shops as well. So if they're doing a car show or they're going to participate in the county fair, you could do backdrops and tailor
Tents.
pops and pop-ups.
Yep. We just did a whole outfit for another community event because summer and fall is a time for community events, for a whole new 10 by 10 pop-up, whole new tablecloth, and then a bunch of rubber duckies for the kids. So the rubber duckies are for the Jeep owners and for the kids.
That's
So between
awesome.
that and then all the office supplies they just bring with them as well, all their extra pens and their sticky notepads. And then we also do a lot of maybe advertising supplements. So if that's like a poker chip voucher, business card, or like mints for a giveaway, and even wall decals for just kind of for freshening up your lobby area. So pretty much anything
Gotcha.
you want to put your brand on is the only way we can kind of describe it. There's a lot of items out there.
Oh, that's awesome. That
Yeah.
is so cool. And if anybody else has questions, comments, concerns, just bursting at the forefront of your mind, Leah, how do they get in touch with you? How can they get in touch with Greenbolt Printing?
Yeah. You can go to greenballprinting.com and type in that contact form. It'll reach me and Allie, but mostly I see everything going through it. You're going to talk to me, but also my email is just leah@greenballprinting.com, and you can reach me there as well.
Nice, nice. Yeah, this is absolutely fascinating. The abilities that your business has of these low quantities, and the pricing is still such a good price for shops and shop owners.
Mhm.
That's just amazing. I love
Thank
this
you.
that we can do this with you. So, Leah, this is phenomenal.
Thank you.
Other ideas, thoughts, magic wand moments?
I would say, a little bit, if we want to talk a little bit about color.
Yes,
Because
let's
I
talk
think
color.
there's a lot of shops, and sometimes you guys come to me with your logos, and it's just like, put this on a black t-shirt. And I'm like, okay, which we'll do. We'll do that. But I think there's a lot of opportunity you can have with adding color, even if you just have a black and white logo, right? You can start putting in navy blue or royal blue polos or things like that and evoke a certain emotion with it, which I think you kind of all saw with C&J changing from just an all black outfit to a colorful one. Or on flip side, right? Maybe there's too much color and you want to reduce down to all black, because you see with like Ren House and Elite, it's very sleek. It's very modern. If you take a look at any of their social media, they do a great job at social media. They do make a lot of content, which I expect. Jamie's a YouTuber with 800,000 whatever subscribers or something. So they better be good at some content there. But everything they do looks very sleek, very performance driven, very modern and professional there. And so again, it depends on the identity that you want to bring forward. But if you can throw in maybe some blue, which is a very trustworthy, very go-to color. Everyone loves blue. How can you hate blue? I love blue. That's my favorite color. If you maybe specialize in EVs, or you want to distinguish yourself in the market as an EV specialist and get all those Teslas and the Rivians and the Lucids and the Polestars, which is my car, maybe throw in some green in there and start kind of marketing EV specialists. Maybe throw on specifically for your technician a little EV specialist badge if they go through a certain training like that, right? Red, yellow, and orange. Yellow and orange are definitely, not as popular colors. Red I see a lot though in the automotive industry, because it's just energy and passion and it's urgency and performance, but it can be overpowering, right? So like if you were to look at these two sets of people when you walk into an auto shop, right? How do you feel comparatively one to the other? And even if you can't place it in like words, you get a different feeling with each person. So a lot of times, right, if there's red in a logo, and they want to also put on red polos like this, we can put both of these into your shop and you can kind of see how your logo on this red polo versus something that just has a little bit of red could feel. Same thing with like outerwear, or something with yellow and gold. There's a lot of options to do accents of colors versus full out, because sometimes that red polo can be a little in your face and that might not be the vibe that you want a customer to feel. So you can have something from all the way up to, there's red and black, to, I don't know if you can even tell on the screen, the one on the very end for the piping, it's barely there, but it's there. And it's just that little bit of accent that provides that feeling again that the red can provide. So I love playing around with color, especially you can do something like this if you are an all black t-shirt or an all black polo brand right now. Add in these little just like flecks of not just color, but like feeling and a vibe and an intensity there. So yeah.
I like it. I like it. That is very cool. And to have those different options for the accent colors. That could
Yes.
also be a promotional product that as you progress, you get more color or something like that. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Well, Leah, thank you very much for the information, the marketing, the colors, the mindset, the culture, the look, the feel, the uniform, the visual reminder that we all have that we're part of a team. That is super awesome. If you were to have a magic wand and you could change anything about this industry, what's one item that you would change in the automotive aftermarket?
I would say having more fun with your brand. I really do think that there's a lot of potential that is out there. And aside from just putting your logo on a shirt, putting it on the back, and calling it a day, right?
Yeah.
And that, again, it's not just in the color, it's in the items that you could be giving out for promotional products. Yeah, we know about the lip balms and we know about the pens and a t-shirt, and those are all safe staples, and they're popular for a reason because people use them. But there's a lot of other fun stuff that is really valuable, like pizza cutters, that people aren't doing because it's not an air freshener, not going to go in the car. But now it's in the drawer, and every time they make a frozen pizza at home, they're using it. So there's a lot of other fun things that like you don't automatically associate with cars and the automotive industry, but your brand can go on them and it can become like a keepsake over time. I still have a pizza cutter that my mom got as like a freebie, like before I was born, and I'm using it because it's the best pizza cutter I have. So there's so much more that we could be doing than just pens, chapstick, shirts.
Oh, I love it.
So I think we could all have a lot more fun with our brand and still keep brand integrity and still keep that. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Elena says she doesn't even have a pizza cutter, but anybody who does it for their next automotive repair shop, we need to send one to Elena.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'll put you on the list. Just take a little one off the cart and
Right.
put it out for you.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So cool, Leah. Thank you so much for
Thank you for
joining
having
us today and talking about uniforms. You know, our military has uniforms, professional sports teams have uniforms, the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, we all have uniforms. And as an automotive repair shop, we're family, we're a team. We work together. And because of that, we are able to help our team to be better, and we can provide leadership and guidance. So super awesome for that. Yes, thank you for throwing this up here. Sign up for an appointment with Leah. Go ahead and scan those QR codes and get on her calendar so you can help your shop.
Yes, and I'm happy to discuss any questions or any ideas you have about even where you want to take your uniform, your constant visual identity. As you can see, I could probably talk about this for another half hour maybe, or something like that. So if you want to sign up for some time there, my calendar is right there, or you can go straight to that contact form on the left and get a store done. Again, no setup fee. We're kind of consider us just like your own apparel director on your team, and we work with you like that. So
Oh, that's awesome. And I love that you've put together the bundles already so that anybody hiring on, okay, you're extra large, click, click, click. All right, your 6 shirts will be here. What's a usual turnaround for you, Leah?
our standard production time is about 5 days, and then depending on where you are in the country, that's another 1 to 5 days on shipping. So if you're in the Northeast, or pretty much actually anywhere on the East Coast, you could get your stuff in about 7 business days.
Oh, that's
West Coast,
awesome.
sorry, you need probably an extra 3 days on that, but all told, a week and a half, week or 2 weeks to get all of your stuff. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining.
Thank you
Thank you
for
for
having
joining and talking about uniforms and leadership and unity and branding and value.
me. Yes,
We
absolutely. My
appreciate
favorite
that.
topics.
Thank you very much. Hey, you know that this is my name is Jimmy Lee. I'm with the Institute. This is some valuable information. If you find this valuable and you want to talk more about other aspects of your business, whether it's your advisors, your managers, or you as a shop owner, you've got questions about your profit and loss, your income statements, or maybe you don't even have a profit and loss. Maybe you don't even have an accurate income statement. Following my comments for 30 seconds, you want to pull out your smartphone and scan this QR code. You can meet with one of our business specialists to talk to you about your shop, your business. What can we do to work together to help you elevate your business? We at the Institute are all about better business, better life, better industry. The more we can help you to improve your business, the better your life is going to be, as well as the lives of your staff, your family, your employees, your technicians, and their families as well. And in the end, the net result is that we are able to, as an industry, elevate and become a better industry. My name is Jimmy Lee. I'm with the Institute. Look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks.